There are a lot of things when it comes to investing that I can't control. I can't control what the market does, what returns I'm going to get, but there is one thing I can have some control over: how much money I actually have to invest in the first place. Thanks so much to MLC for sponsoring this episode and helping us keep all of our content free. Welcome back to Get Started Investing, a show that helps you make the most of your money. I'm Jess, and as a beginner investor, I have loads of questions about investing, and as it turns out, so do you guys. So each week, I'm going to sit down with an expert to tackle them so we can all become better investors together. Someone in our community recently asked, how can I use AI to analyze my spending? And it really got me thinking, could AI help us better understand where our money's going? Could it find some easy wins and maybe even free up an extra $50 or $100 a month without cutting the things we actually value? So today I'm joined by Isabelle. She's an accountant and financial controller who founded Mind Her Money, and she's built Money Muse. It's a tool that helps people analyze their spending. We're going to unpack how we can safely use AI to do it ourselves, what we should actually be looking for, and what even a small amount could potentially become if we choose to invest it instead. But first, a very quick reminder that we are partnering with BetaShares to bring you FinFest. It's Australia's largest investing festival this October. There's going to be 5 stages, food trucks, drinks, and something for everyone, no matter where you are on your investing journey. Tickets are already 70% sold out, so we're going to pop a link in the show notes, and we hope to see you there. Alrighty, let's get into it. Welcome to Get Started Investing.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk with you today.
I know, I'm very excited. I wanted to get you in. So basically, long story short, I've been doing a lot of work on my spending as a big part of this whole getting invested process.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that is one thing I can control. Like I know I've been speaking to everyone about like what to invest in and what investment returns I can expect. But like the one thing I can control is my spending. So I've been working really hard on that, but very manually. Like literally with a highlighter, printing out my bank statements. And then someone wrote into us and was like, have you guys done an episode on how to use AI to analyze spending? And I was like, boom. Like I knew I had already come across you and Mind Her Money, and I know that you had built something using AI to help people analyze their spending. So I want to find out a bit about that to start off with, but then also obviously having built that, you could help us figure out how to use AI ourselves if we wanted to, and like the things to look out for, the good and the bad of it all. So with all that said, thanks for coming, and tell me a bit about you and why you built Money Muse.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited to be on here today. I think this is such a relevant topic at the moment as well, and people are always asking me about that as well. So I'm actually a financial controller and a chartered accountant, which essentially just means that I kind of crunch the numbers for a business and then help that steer the direction and the strategy for the company. I actually then built Money Muse, which is an AI-powered kind of web app where you can essentially upload your transactions, and it actually shows you how to upload those transactions from your bank. It then categorizes your transactions and your spending, gives you kind of like patterns that you've maybe not seen, you know, just even in terms of like days of the week, what types of vendors you're spending that money on. And then it can actually give you an action plan and a budget as well. So yeah, kind of just, I think I just wanted to create a platform where it wasn't held on Excel, because I know that Excel can be a little bit unfamiliar to certain people.
I still can't use Excel. If I'm like, I don't know where people learned. I didn't learn it.
I could teach you.
Yeah.
But you don't even need to know. AI. You don't need to know. Yeah.
So I guess you saw a gap where like you're doing this day in, day out in your business with Excel.
Yeah.
And you saw that like the everyday person could benefit from what Excel does, but
100%.
do it in a more simple way.
Yeah. And I also wanted to make the user interface really easy to look at and really fun. It's kind of pink and it's got loads of emojis.
Yeah.
And it's got a sweet, friendly tone of voice. That's what I've really kind of tried to input into the app. So it kind of tells you things in a non-shameful way. It's not telling you off for doing X, Y, Z. It's just kind of delivering you the insights that you need to see. And that's what I really wanted to kind of get across and almost remove that initial hurdle of, I've got to download these transactions and put them into Excel and then I don't know what to do in Excel.
Yeah.
Whereas, you kind of put them into this place and it's just, press a few buttons and it's all sorted.
Is it safe though?
So this is actually a really good question. And I think that it's safe with certain parameters. So basically just kind of excluding information that is personally identifiable. So that just means...
Does Money Muse do that?
So it actually does not. But you essentially would have to just do that yourself before uploading it.
Okay.
Yeah, into the app. So it's essentially just removing anything that identifies yourself. So your name, your account numbers, anything other than the date of the transaction description, and then the actual dollar value. They're the only things that it actually needs. It doesn't need and it doesn't use any of the other information. And that's also what I would say in terms of if you were to do this yourself with AI. It's,
because that's what I think, like when this community question came in, I think what she wanted to know is like, can she use AI to do this? And I guess the first thing I thought is, like I'm scared of that. So it's just about understanding, like if I was to go home and do this myself, like what would that look like as well?
No, definitely. I think that's something to really bear in mind. And I am a big advocate of AI in terms of just, empowering people. And I think that it can, give you a lot of different skills and show you a lot of different things that you wouldn't necessarily know otherwise. However, I would always say that being safe with it is so important. Everything that you're putting in there, just having a little look at it beforehand and just making sure that it only has the things that it really needs, which is obviously in this case, date, description, amount. Anything else, just delete it. And as much as you can have and talk to it, knowing that it's not 100% secure. Even the research that I've done on it is kind of trying to treat it almost like sending an email rather than logging into like a secure bank portal, and really just being a little bit careful, with what kind of things you're putting in.
What personal information and stuff.
Yeah.
So if I was to go do this from home right now, tomorrow, this afternoon, whenever I want, what would be the first thing I do? So I go to my bank and I download, because the bank statement has all my information on it. Like, what do I download?
Yeah, so you can actually go into your bank and AI can actually help you know what to download and where to download it from. That's what I actually really found useful about AI is even things like that. It's kind of, you can just get your AI of choice, ChatGPT, Claude, whatever. Type in, hey, I bank with Westpac and I really want to download these transactions to analyze my spending. Tell me exactly what I click on, where I get it from, what I press download. And then you can even ask it, I want to remove all of the sensitive data. Tell me what columns they'll be in, really using it for things like that. And that's what a lot of people forget. They can actually use it to get that kind of information.
Use it to help you protect it from itself.
Yeah, 100%.
So you download that and then what? People are just chucking it. Like, do we just put it in AI and be like, help me?
I would then open up that document. So people call it like a CSV file. It's essentially just an Excel version. It's not actually an Excel, but it's kind of like Excel, and it's just got all of the details from your bank statement, but just in little boxes rather than in one PDF document.
Okay.
So I would open that up and then find the columns that have things that are personally identifiable. So your name, account codes, things like that, and then just delete them. So all you're left with is the date, the description, and the amount as well.
You put that in, and one thing I want to be clear about, like, I think this whole question was about using AI to analyze your spending, not to do a budget for you. I think those two things can be confused. So like I upload it and I put it into AI. What am I asking it to be able to help me analyze spending?
Yeah. So you've done the hard bit by getting it all in there. I think that's the bit that that's just like this hurdle in people's heads, is just doing all those bits, because it seems like a lot, but honestly, if you do it, it will take you 5 minutes. And then the next bit is almost the easy and the fun bit. So we've actually got some prompts that will be in the show notes as well, which is so exciting.
Yeah.
You don't have to use any of them. You can use all of them. It's just an idea of what kind of things you can ask it. So some of them are categorize these transactions and show me how much I'm spending in each category. Which recurring expenses can you identify? How long have I been paying for each one? One I really like, and what we can talk about a little bit more later, is just in terms of aligning it with your values. So ask me what actually brings me joy or value in my life.
I love that.
I know. And then it says, then look at my spending and tell me which categories line up with that and which don't. How good?
Yes. Okay. That is so good, because that's like, I think using AI just to like put your money, like your numbers in a box and be like, this is what you're spending, isn't that useful.
Yeah.
But like, that is so good. Like, tell me what brings me joy.
Mm.
And often we don't even sit down and think about that for ourselves.
100%. I feel like so many people, I kind of have an idea about it, but I think actually putting it down on a screen and getting AI to help you get that from you, I think is actually one of the really magical things about AI and the things that it can help bring awareness to you.
I love that.
Yeah.
And is it able to read everything and understand everything in terms of your transactions? I know that's a really broad question, but like, for example, I don't pay my rent to my rent people. I transfer it to my housemate. Like, should we look out for stuff like that when we're putting it in?
Yeah. So that's actually a really good question, because AI, as much as I love it, it has a lot of drawbacks, and it doesn't know the things that you know in your head. You have to really think about explaining things that you know that the bank transactions don't show. So for example, in your case, you don't have to kind of say, oh, I can't do it. It's actually just putting your transactions in and then adding to it. So you can say, oh, I also pay my rent on this day. It comes through on this transaction.
Could I say like any money transferred to Hannah, see that as rent?
Yeah.
For example.
Yeah, 100%. It's literally whatever you want to do. If you want to manually put it in, if it's coming out, once a year, or it's not included in the transactions at all, then it's just saying, by the way, I've also got this other transaction that you won't be able to see. Or it's saying any transfers to Hannah on this date, that's actually my rent, so include that. And it's kind of like, it's almost like you've got your little personal assistant. Yeah.
If you're the type of person who spends weekends comparing ETFs, keeps an eye on crypto, and never misses an episode of Equity Mates, here's one investment you may be overlooking: your super. MLC knows it might not seem as exciting as picking your next investment, but thanks to tax advantages and decades of compound growth, it could actually end up being one of the hardest working investments you own. See how your super could be working harder with MLC at mlc.com.au. Products issued by Nulis Nominees Australia Limited as trustee of MLC Super Fund. General information only. Read the PDS and TMD available at mlc.com.au and consider if it's right for you. So step 1 is downloading everything. Step 2 is actually putting it in using hopefully our prompts if they're useful. Otherwise, like, you can come up with your own and continue to question that. And then what are we looking at first? What are we looking for first?
Yeah. So in terms of the things that we will probably have a look for first, I would probably say it's things that actually don't bring you any value, or also things that you may have actually forgotten about. So things that come to mind are things like old gym memberships, subscriptions where you sign up for the free trial, but you didn't realize you're now paying and you're actually not using it, you've not touched it. Just anything where it's not adding a single thing to your life. They're the first things that I would be trying to get rid of.
Especially, like you mentioned, they're forgotten stuff. Like, I actually had to go through my dad's Apple subscriptions. He would sign up to the most random things. I literally did a cull on his phone because I was like, do you even know what this is? And he just signs up to everything. And I was like, delete, unsubscribe. And I was like, it's so easy to do though.
100%.
Even like my housemate, she's, oh my God, she's one for like the free trials and then realizes gets stung. Obviously you can look at those subscriptions, gym memberships, things like that you won't really miss. And then what are some other things like you can look at?
Yeah, so the second thing is actually then moving on to things that you are using, but you can actually get a lower rate for it. So things that come to mind are your actual mortgage, your energy bill, your your internet bill, your phone bill, things like that, where you obviously are using it, but it could be with a different provider or it could be cheaper. It's trying to kind of bring an awareness that what you're paying is not necessarily what you have to be paying.
Yeah.
And that's something that, again, talking about obviously my work versus personal, that's the kind of thing that I do at work. And I kind of go through all of the spending in the business and literally just kind of like looking at every single dollar commercially and saying, are we paying the top membership fee for this? And we actually don't need all the bells and whistles. Do we only need the kind of basic level, which we could be paying kind of half of that for? But I think it's actually just, giving yourself permission to think, oh, actually, that amount of money is, I can actually challenge that.
Yeah. A really good example has just come to mind.
Yeah.
Again, for me, my gym membership. So I was with Virgin Active.
Yeah.
And I've gone to Anytime Fitness. Now, some people may be like, oh, why? Like, Anytime's a bit, but like, I'm doing the same thing. I'm getting the same workout. And actually, it's half the price every month. And it's like, I value working out. I value exercising. I'm never going to cut that from my budget. But I can spend $30 less a week, which is $120 a month. Like, that's a significant amount over the long term.
100%. No, that is like such a good example. And that's exactly what I think, that applying that to everything that you're spending is such a good idea. And obviously you can't do it for every single thing all the time. But I think, certain things like your mortgage and your energy bill and different bills like phone bills and things like that, when it's coming up for renewal or when you see it's coming out of your bank and you've got some time that day, it's just having a think about, going on comparison sites, which is what I like to do. You can literally just Google or use AI to see what better providers you could get for what you need, and finding out what price you think you should be paying for what you're actually using from the provider. Because what is really interesting to know about from the business's point of view is the lifetime value of you as a customer is so important to them that they don't mind losing a few dollars a month, or, even for a mortgage, $1,000 a year. To them, that's worth less than losing you as a customer forever. The business actually really values you. And I think that understanding that actually gives you some more power. It's not like you have no power. You actually have more than you think, and you are valuable to that business. So for example, your mortgage, call your provider, say, I found this rate online, these people offer it. I'm going to be leaving unless you can offer me something. And you would be so surprised how often they will just give it to you.
I've seen also you have like some prompts people can use for that. Maybe we'll add that in as well.
Yeah.
Like a bit of a script to help you with, if you're not, because not everyone's confident doing stuff like that. But I think you've just put it in, like you've just nailed it by saying that. Like you don't need to feel like you're powerless in these conversations. Like they need you too.
They need you a lot. Yeah.
So those things like your electricity bill, I guess, your internet, phone bill, as you said, even insurance. I actually did a insurance comparison for my health insurance, and it was only like $10 a month I was saving. But again, like we'll talk about this later, but if you think about that annually, like all these little amounts, like it's about finding money you already have. I guess the other thing to touch on is how accurate is AI going to be about like everyday spending? Because I think one thing I've thought about was if I was to put this all in AI, like it will say, someone's buying a lot of coffee every day. And how does one use AI but also use their own thinking, because they may value buying that coffee every day?
Yeah.
So at what point, like AI is going to spit stuff out at you that you're doing a lot of this, you're doing a lot of that. How do you balance, like, okay, I can see that, but I want to keep doing that with, okay, I could be saving all of this.
Yeah. No, that's such a good question. And I think that's also something I feel quite strongly about is I think that it's really important to align your spending with what you actually value. And, it doesn't matter necessarily, like what you might value and what you might spend is maybe different to what I value and what I might spend. And that's completely fine. Like I might value a coffee every single day and you might not. Equally, getting your nails done. And that's something that I really value actually. And I've realized that I actually do value that. Coming back to your question, it's kind of, I think that's the first point of call, is trying to figure out what you actually value. For me, it's travel, socializing, spending time with others, and sport. They're kind of three of the main ones that I can think of right now. And everything else, so I'm quite loose with my purse strings on those, and I actually don't feel guilty.
Yeah.
about an expensive dinner or, having loads of people around, and I've spent a lot of money on like expensive, nice food and drinks for them. Whereas, I don't value being taken for a ride by a mortgage company that wants to charge me an extra $2,000 a year.
Yeah.
When that could actually fund the things that I actually do value. So I think for me, I think it's about aligning your values with your spending, and then you actually won't feel guilty about that because every time I spend on that, I'm like, no, I actually feel good about this.
Yeah.
And I'm not looking at the exact dollar that comes out from a dinner reservation because I know that I feel good about that spending. Whereas when I do see spending on, subscriptions that I don't need, then I'll be very hot and be like, no, we're not going to spend that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a good way to look at it because in a recent conversation with an advisor, he was saying, people of all incomes, of all stages of life, like the biggest thing he tells them is you need to know where your money's going, and then all your decisions can be made off the back of that.
Yeah.
Like you need to know where that money's going. I guess the point of this is like, let's figure out exactly where your money's going.
Yeah.
And so then you can have that conversation with yourself or your new AI bestie about like your values. So it's not necessarily look at what AI spits out and cut everything it says you're doing too much. It's like look at it, figure out what makes you feel good and what gives you like the ick.
100%.
Spending ick.
No, that is actually such a good way of thinking about it. I think that's the thing. I think to almost look at it on a surface level and be like, oh, should I feel guilty about this or this or this? I think it's more important coming back to that holistic approach and really just understanding, as you say, what you value. And then all the other things will kind of make more sense and you won't have to kind of second guess everything you do.
Like the other thing is like, is there a danger in trying to optimize every single dollar that you earn?
I definitely think that long term and doing this consistently, there is a danger in it. I think that it kind of depends on what season of life that you're in. And I think that being conscious of your money gets a lot of stick, I think, in general. And, it's quite easy to be like, oh, stop being so tight and blah, blah, blah. But I do think that there's a time and a place for it. I think that, if something is really important to you, for example, when I was trying to save for the flat that I live in now and, get up to an investing goal, I think I was very strict with what I was spending. And I think that maybe I was taking it a little bit too far. But I think that there's trade-offs in life. And I think that you trade things off by me being very money conscious for, 6 months or a year, however long that was, actually has allowed me to live more comfortably now and achieve the goals that I wanted to. Whereas, if you were to kind of be a bit more lax with it, those goals will probably still happen, but just at a later stage. And I think it's kind of like understanding that there is a trade-off for the things that you do. So I think that over your whole life, I think it's not good to, optimize every single dollar and, be in this kind of stress and state of anxiety. But I think that there's equally a time and a place for it. And I think that if it is important to you to hit X goal and, be at, travel that next year or, different things, that I think that there's just a trade-off for that.
Really interesting that you bring up trade-offs because I think it ties into where I think a lot of people struggle with investing, and I was really struggling with myself, is that delayed gratification, which I think ties into trade-offs because I think thinking about current you can be a lot easier than thinking about future you. And I think that's where spending and saving and investing all kind of come together. And it is quite a mindset thing to like figure out what, like it's not just what you value now. It's like, do you value this compared to how much you'd value this in the future, and trying to sort of tie those together. But this brings me really well to the next point, which is something else that you've created, which is a tool called the real price tag. I was doing a bit of that with like a compound interest calculator, and I told people on Instagram, I was like, guys, try this. It's so good because it's the only thing I think that has made me feel that same sort of dopamine hit as buying something or spending money.
Yeah.
So what it is you can put an amount of money in this calculator and you say like how much it costs and whether it's monthly or annually or whatever, and you can see what it would be in the time frame that you give it, invested it, what we're hoping to get over the long term, which is average 7% returns is what I'm working off. So I want to actually try it. Like I want to use an example
Yeah,
see what it comes up with. I'm a bit scared to do this one, but I was thinking like one thing I haven't managed to cut out is my nails. Yeah. But see, you said you really value it. I think I do. It. But the fact I keep thinking about it, it's like maybe I do. I don't know. I don't know. But like it's something that I haven't even thought about cutting out yet. So I thought we could practice doing this calculator, like the real price tag. Yeah. So what do I say? I want to buy nails.
Yeah.
How much does it cost? $60 a fortnight. So $120 a month. Oh my God. And then I'm investing for the next 23 years is the plan with yearly average investment returns of 7%. That could be worth $81,863 in 23 years.
That is nuts.
It actually is. But see, that gives you that hit of dopamine. You're like, I would have spent $33,000, but it'll be worth $81,863.
Yeah.
Like actually looking at those numbers, it's like that's a big amount of money. And if you continued investing, if you're not just going to stop at the 23 years, like if you did 30, 40 years invested, that like $120 a month, it does make a difference.
I think it's just bringing that, what we talk about, that like awareness to your decision rather than it's kind of this vague number that you're not really sure what it could be in the future. And obviously this isn't exact, this is just an estimate, but it's really just bringing that visual idea of what it actually could be and letting yourself really just sit in it and think, do I value this? And the answer can be yes. It's not like, you can't not spend anything.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think it's just really letting yourself actually go through the motion in your head and think, is this something that I value? And if you decide yes, then do it and don't feel guilty about it. But it's kind of like, it almost helps you get to that point where you might say actually no.
Yeah.
And then you can think every time you don't do it, you can almost think, she's getting her 100K in 23 years' time.
And even if you want to like just play around with the calculator to see what it could be and get that little rush with anything, even like some really big purchases, if you're not sure, maybe like look at the calculator, see what it could be and then see which one you prefer. Because I think that's teaching a bit of that delayed gratification, but giving you something tangible to be like, this is what I could have. Because I think often we talk about investment returns and it feels really far away, and this whole idea of building up this big pot of money, it can feel like you can't see it, you can't feel it, you can't touch it kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know, something about this like real price tag thing makes me really excited. I'm like, it just feels like it's something real you're working towards.
100%. And even it can, like, I mean, I've just thought about this, but every time you kind of have that negotiation call with your insurance provider or your energy bill provider or your mortgage provider, and if you've saved this amount of money, you can always put that in and you can actually see how much difference $100 a month will make you over time. So it's actually, you can apply it to almost anything, and actually you can get that feel good dopamine hit every time you see that number.
I want to leave everyone with something to do, like an assignment.
Yeah.
So what do you think we should tell them to do after this?
I would say that just exporting your transactions, which sounds, a little bit overwhelming, but get AI up and ask it, I'm with this bank, how do I, just step me through really simply how I download these transactions, because I want to analyze my spending. And then we'll have the some of the prompts that you guys can use in the show notes as well. And you can literally just pick and choose which one of the prompts that you want to start with. You can use them all, you can use one or two. And then I would honestly encourage people to just play around with the AI and actually use it as that study buddy, just your little your little friend that is very capable and knowledgeable and is able to spot these trends in your spending. And just get that kind of awareness going of what you're actually spending. And, that could be the first step. And then maybe next time you revisit, then you can have a think about what you could actually maybe cut back on, what subscriptions you could cancel. But I do think that the first step almost will naturally lead to you cutting down on certain spending and, being more intentional with the things that you're doing, because you're actually then seeing how much it's actually costing you. And, something that we've spoken about, obviously, that you might not value, when you're actually purchasing it, you'll have more an awareness of, actually, I looked at my spending over the last 3 months and this has actually cost me almost $1,000 over all the different things that I'm getting, all the Uber Eats or all this. And it's kind of thinking, maybe I actually don't necessarily value that every single night, or maybe I can cut it down to a couple of nights. You know what I mean?
100%. So I think if someone can use AI to safely understand where your money is going, please remember to take any sort of personal details off it, and double check that the information's right as well. AI can get stuff wrong, but as a starting point, that's good. And then potentially find a couple of things that you could change without making your life noticeably worse.
100%.
And then invest it if it makes sense for you. Some people may be building up their emergency fund, or some people may be saving for something else. But just even if you can find $20, $50, $100, something from this conversation. And put it in the calculator. We'll put that in the show notes too, the real price tag.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's such a good start. And as you say, just remembering that obviously I know we're hyping A up, or I'm hyping A up a lot in this, but there are limitations to it. And that is something that is good to just be aware of. Sometimes it can be confidently wrong. And, you've always got to sense check it. It's almost kind of, I think of it as a capable colleague or another person that, you can't trust it 100%.
Yeah.
And, avoid putting any personal details in.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm excited to see what people do with this information.
Thank you so much for having me. I've loved this.
Thanks.
This podcast is intended for education and entertainment purposes only. Any advice is general advice and has not taken into account your personal financial circumstances. Before acting on general advice, you should consider if it is relevant to your needs. If unsure, speak to a financial professional. The host of this podcast and their guests may have positions in the companies mentioned. Equity Mates Media is part of the BetaShares Group but maintains editorial independence. We operate under Australian Financial Services Licence 540697.